Hi everyone, it's me, LL Moore, but feel free to call me Moore. In today's video, I'm going to review the debut novel, The Ruins Beneath Us by Sasha E Sloan. People on Goodreads said The Ruins Beneath Us was juvenile, overly explicit, and badly written, so the obvious next step for me was to read the entire thing in 24 hours to see if that was actually true. And when I say I read it, I mean I left over 120 annotations. Ooh. So today, I'm breaking down the world building, characters, romance, and whether this fantasy debut actually deserves the criticism it's getting. The story follows Lyria, a sheltered girl raised in a small cottage by her mother. She has healing magic and lives a pretty isolated life until she ends up saving a prince and suddenly gets dragged into palace politics. Basically, it's like if the movie Tangled was about Rapunzel being an elf in a war-torn country filled with magic and gods. Except there's no tower, and her hair doesn't glow. And she had 2 love interests instead of 1. And if there were, 4 different plot twists... Listen, okay? Let's just get into the meat of this. One thing I really liked about this book is the world itself, which I'm pretty sure is called the Midlands. The story takes place in a kingdom where elves are persecuted by humans. A lot of elves have to hide their identities just to survive, and the book really doesn't shy away from how dark that situation can get. There are details like elves mutilating their ears to hide who they are, and humans displaying stolen elven artifacts like royal trophies. Stuff like that makes the world feel way more layered than just a generic fantasy setting. It also parallels the hell out of our own world. The Wuthering Heights moving casting. Oh my god, it's like, who said that? Anyway. The monsters were also really cool. There are creatures like the firehounds and this thing called I'm gonna butcher this name for real. The Mora... Gorion. I said that so wrong. Anyway, that makes the world feel way more alive. And I'm pretty sure the more Gorion is completely made up. So honestly, points for Sasha for inventing a whole new creature. I'd try to do that and give up halfway through. I'm much better at coming up with plans. Okay? My one complaint with the world building is that sometimes the geography in different kingdoms weren't explained really clearly. There were a few moments where characters referenced places and I was like, oh, wait, where are we again? What? Also, what are we? I wish the timeline had been a little bit clearer. Before I forget, if you happen to get the ebook or you can't get the limited special edition copy, just know that Disney Hyperion decided to only include the map in the special edition. So, no map for ebook readers, no map for regular book buyers, and audiobook listeners. Wait, there is no audiobook, okay? So apparently, Disney Hyperion said maps and accessibility are privileges. And let's talk about the characters. First, we have Lyria, who is very much the classic fantasy protagonist. A sheltered girl from a small town who discovers she's connected to something bigger. She's not the most unique archetype ever, but she's also, not annoying, which honestly is half the battle with fantasy protagonists. And because I refuse to censor myself on my own channel, okay, she's nothing like America Singer from Selection or that blonde girl from Throne of Glass. I never once wanted to throw my phone at the wall while reading about Lyria's decisions, okay? Early on, she can be a bit passive, but the story progresses and she becomes more active and starts making bigger choices. Now, Lyria's power is really interesting. She can heal and kill people. The easiest way to describe it is she's kind of like a bloodbender, but also not really. She's more like a body bender. Actually, wait, no. She's a body seamstress. Because in the book, it's described that everyone has these thread-like life strings in their bodies that she can manipulate. It can get pretty graphic sometimes, okay? But honestly, no more graphic than the Hunger Games. So there's that. Also, Lyria herself isn't overpowered. Her magic definitely is, okay? But she has, 0 training because she basically runs on, vibes for, most of the book. At one point, she literally fails a basic spell, which I loved, okay? Because so many authors make their leads way too competent way too early. Before I forget, don't forget to comment, like, share, and subscribe. I put all of Sasha's links below along with my full Goodreads review. Then there's Finn, the prince she saves. Finn is charming, funny, clearly meant to be likable, but by the end of the book, my feelings about him were extremely complicated. But I should explain myself. When we first meet Finn, he's getting his behind handed to him by the Morgorion, and our girl Lyria saves him with her whack magic, okay? I should mention this while we're, on the topic. The fight scenes are, top tier. You do feel the stakes, okay, when it's happening. But fight scenes are hard to write, okay? They're hard. But I digress. Finn gets straight up demolished by this thing and needs Lyria to nurse him back to health. Cute little flash forward later. After my man is saying the funniest lines, guys. Oh my god, he's funny, okay? You know what? Just to prove my point, okay? That this man is funny, okay? Let me put in some quotes. Let me put in some quotes for y'all, okay? Was that? His lips twitch, like he's choosing his words carefully. Was that before or after you tied me to your bed? It's not my bed, I correct him. It's my mother's. He smirks. Ah, an important distinction. Page 28. Another quote. Don't worry, I got y'all, okay? Why? So you can tie him to your bed too? It's not my bed. Ah, yes, it's your mother's bed. Much better. Nah, because do you see what I mean, though? This man is funny, okay? His only crime was that he's a literal rake, okay? The man is a rake, okay? He's plowed through over half the damn female population of the kingdom, okay? Let's just say there are some reveals about his motivations that had me yelling at my book like, I knew this man was lying, okay? Because I don't know why Lyria thought the man was like the real deal after hearing every man, woman, and child be like, Prince Phineas is a slut. But like, girl, what more evidence do you need? Like, what? This is what happens when you were raised in a cottage. And then there's Cygnus, who might have been my favorite character. Well, that's a lie. That's a straight lie. My all-time favorite character is Lyria's mother, but it ain't about her right now, okay? It's not about her right now, okay? He starts off mysterious and kind of distant, kind of a jackass, but as the story progresses, he becomes way more interesting. Because, that 47% mark? Ooh, that had me running around my house like a mad man, okay? The only issue is I feel like we didn't get an equal amount of time with both male leads. But what was life of second male leads, okay? Y'all never win, but you're always better. Like John Ambrose. Most of the background characters are honestly just there to be there. There are only really two side characters who actively impact the plot. Lyria's mother and Finn's mother, the queen. Other characters, like, exist, but we don't spend enough time with them to form strong opinions. And honestly, that feels like something an editor should have pushed for a little more, because I have no doubt Sasha Sloan would have deepened those characters if given the chance. But I will say this. I love Lyria's mom, okay? She's so pro-elf. I love her for it. Every time Lyria mentioned something her mother said, I was like, and she was right. And she was right, though. And she was right again, okay? The first quarter of the book is definitely slower because it's doing a lot of setup. There's some exposition and world building that probably could have been integrated a lot more smoothly. But once you hit the midway point, the story just takes off. Major twists start happening, secrets start coming out, and suddenly the plot becomes way bigger than the opening made it seem. Like, bam, boom, pa-chow! I swear I'm not exaggerating, okay? Okay, I got the annotations to prove it, okay? By the end, I was fully invested and desperately needed someone to talk to about what was just happened. So naturally, I harassed my mother, okay? But if you read the book, feel free to jump into the comments or DM me on Instagram because I need people to discuss this with, okay? Also, I'll be doing a full talk-through video where I go through the book at like 25%, 50%, 75%, 100% marks with all of my annotations. So, expect that video soon. Yes, there's romance in this book. It's romantasy, after all. But I do want to address something I saw in early reviews. People claiming the book is explicit. It's really not. There are some spicy moments, but they're more like intense makeout scenes than anything graphic. If you ever read actual erotica, this book is extremely tame. There's maybe like one or two kissing scenes, and the one actual intimate scene is written so vaguely that you have to use your imagination to fill in the blanks, okay? But I'll save my thoughts on that scene for the annotation talk-through video, because I had notes. Both love interests feel fairly three-dimensional as far as personalities are concerned. They each have their own strengths, flaws, and good character moments. Although, like I mentioned earlier, Finn definitely gets way more screen time. Than Cygnus. And yes, we do get the classic love triangle trope where the men are like jealous of each other and the female lead is completely oblivious. Which eventually leads to a pretty intense brawl between the two. And honestly, I felt less like they were fighting over Lyria and more like they just wanted an excuse to fight each other, which leads to something very shocking happening. So, if you read the book, are you Team Finn or Team Cygnus? Let me know in the comments below. Overall, The Ruins Beneath Us isn't flawless, but it's a really enjoyable fantasy debut. The world building is interesting, the characters are engaging, and once the story hits the midway point, the plot becomes genuinely hard to put down. I had a lot of fun reading it, and I'll definitely be picking up the sequel. Yay! For me, this book gets 5 out of 5 stars, and about 8.5 out of 10 inked quills. If you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe! And check the description for links to Sasha's book and my full Goodreads review. And as always, keep evolving, keep writing, and I'll see you all in the next chapter.